Let me teach you a trick that beats strong arms in less than 10 seconds. Have you played Splatoon Side Order? The previous single-player adventure introduced a new power known as Squid Attack. We will combine new powers from Splatoon Raiders with my beloved Squid Attack to defeat any enemy in the game in just a few seconds, as long as you do everything correctly. I did Squid Attack only runs of Side Order back when it released, and now my training has paid off. There is more to this trick than meets the eye, as you will find out when you try it for yourself. Squid Attack has returned as a relic power in Splatoon Raiders, upgrading the defensive squid roll into a macho attack. Swim at full speed in one direction, then quickly rotate your control stick at least 90 degrees and jump. You will deflect some damage for a brief moment, but this shield gets upgraded into a shield plus offensive storm of ink when you equip the Squid Attack. Due to the infinite scaling of enemies in the Bottomless Buffet, the shield that Squid Roll gives, it kinda is useful, kind of isn't useful, really depending on how much damage those enemies are dealing relative to your base HP, and that depends on your character's level. I think that shield is material for a totally different video, so we're just not going to talk about it. Instead, let's break down the build you need to instantly kill bosses with the Squid Attack. We need to equip the power tank itself to use a combination of power and speed gadgets. This technique is impossible in the heat of battle without help from the speed tank. Many enemies instantly surround themselves with their own ink. So equip the speed tank Relic, which you obtain by beating all 3 of those post-game islands you unlock with the speed tank. They're actually only 1 floor, so don't be afraid to go do them. Many enemies instantly surround themselves with their own ink, but you can activate the speed tank to let yourself swim anywhere you want, even on enemy ink. This is the most important part of the strategy, because Squid Attack cannot be performed if you accidentally touch something other than your own ink. You will get slowed down by the enemy ink instead. Because Squid Roll can only be executed when swimming at high speeds, getting slowed down by anything is not an option. That's why we also take that swim speed, hopefully it's level 3, if it isn't, that's okay. And Power Tank's ability to decrease all damage taken while in squid form by 45% is super useful for practicing this technique, so you don't just keep getting splatted whenever you try to practice it. Now, 2 gadgets in this game instantly activate your tanks so you don't waste time swimming in your ink. This is supposed to be a time-saving strategy, so yeah, this part's important. Flyliner and Meteor Mitt are 2 of the best gadgets solely because they have exclusive access to the tank activator ability. But Meteor Mitt has another major advantage for this specific build. Its explosion can be upgraded to guarantee a freeze effect on all enemies hit by the explosion. And when all the enemies are frozen and they can't attack you, it's a lot easier to Squid Attack them into the void. So naturally, we want to equip the explosion size up, freeze, and knockback upgrades for the Meteor Mitt gadget. Cooldown reduction is always handy if you can afford it, and of course, don't forget the essential tank activator upgrade I mentioned earlier. For our last gadget, we will use Splatalites with automatic activation, maximum knockback, and as much area, range, and cooldown as we can equip. By throwing ourselves into enemies with Squid Attack and knockback Splatalites at the same time, we can confuse and overwhelm the Salmonids with a divine rush of knockback. Just one thing, you randomly get relics sometimes when you complete any dungeon, so you can't upgrade your Squid Attack until the game says you can, which is rough, buddy. It used to be some cool mesh thing that Marina cooked up in Unity, but the magic of ancient Salmonid relics has allowed Squid Attack to break into the real world, so I wonder if the next major Splatoon game will include Squid Attack in some way. Dealing some physical damage and a massive amount of knockback, the most effective method to deal with big targets in my Squid Attack only runs of Side Order was simply pushing them off the edge. The enemies at the start of each stage in the Bottomless Buffet are preset no matter how deep you go, with the enemies spawning from the faucets after the match begins being totally random. So you can actually identify some guaranteed setups against stages that begin with knockback susceptible bosses. You probably know that some enemies will not be affected by knockback, like the Salmonid, Stingers, and Steelheads. But the 2 enemies with the highest health in this game are Strong Arms and Thick-Cut Salty Tongues. And both of them are instantly defeated by the Squid Attack. So this is a pretty fun and silly strategy for people who are looking to try something different. And me, I always am. So let's break down my approach. Knocking enemies into the void deals an unlimited amount of damage. So even if you can instantly kill enemies using the Salmonid and Steelhead explosions, they are actually capped at 500,000 damage in single player, And I believe they scale up to 1.35 million damage in multiplayer because enemies gain larger HP. So if Salmonids just aren't doing it for you anymore, let me teach you how to find a bigger rush in life. First, you gotta understand if the stage itself is good to try this strategy on, you will humiliate yourself if the enemies are not actually willing to be knocked into the edge. You'll just run out of time, wasting it all, flopping around as a squid. So the real point of practicing this trick is being able to whip it out faster. If you actually want this trick to be useful in real battles, you gotta be proficient enough to use the Squid Attack and go back to shooting in 10 seconds or less. A great example of where you can do this is floor 99 of the Bottomless Buffet. A more generic example is that one grid-based stage where all of the enemies are on the super skinny roads. Shiver's really good for that stage as well, but knocking all the enemies into the void is the quickest way to victory there. Now that floor 99 setup from the Bottomless Buffet actually is a setup that can also appear randomly on the lower floors. So you gotta remember that top strong arms, he's completely exposed against the back of the stage. Here's a demonstration showing that you can push the bottom strong arms off the edge of the stage as well, but it's actually easier to bait strong arms into approaching the edge if he isn't already there already. If you run far enough away from him, he might even jump over to you. Now, as soon as you enter the stage, you will notice how exposed and vulnerable that top strong arms looks. He's just willing, begging to be pushed off the edge. So that's why you shouldn't do it yet. Don't be distracted by him. That's what Nintendo wants. Instead, go straight for the smoker on the right and meteor mid him to activate your speed tank. Pop the smoker and swim over to the top strong arms. You gotta note, this boss has 4 different attacks that trigger depending on how far away you are from him. When you get into melee range, strong arms will always instantly perform his 1-2 tong swing. As he switches to do this, the second bottom strong arms will start firing his killer whale or maybe the splatling at you. Do your best to dodge it. The goal at this point in the fight is twofold, and it's very difficult. Freeze the top strong arms before the first swing of his tongs goes off. The tongs will hit you even if you try to dodge them by hiding underneath your ink. And I believe this swing is one of the highest damage attacks in the entire game. So once you pop the frozen smoker, swim into blast boot range and leap at the strong arm to instantly freeze him before he even realizes you're close enough to hit. You don't need the blast boot to execute this strategy, but for my build, you gotta have it because I like the freeze and I like leaping into range before the enemies can do anything significant. I'm considering a separate build that uses the knockback variant of the fan, which I rarely use, for maximum knockback cheese. So I'm gonna let you decide which gadget you wanna use for that third slot. Let me know in the comments what you prefer, okay? To squid attack an enemy as quickly as possible, we gotta average our movement in their direction. Swim diagonally towards strong arms, but away from him to the left or right. Then swing your stick in the opposite direction and jump. Heavy enemies like strong arms need to be repeatedly squid attacked, and they do not get moved forward very far when you do it. So the angle that you're whipping your control stick back and forth at may be 120 degrees or greater to prevent yourself from swimming forward too much with each squid attack. You start with your stick diagonally left or right, then swing it in the opposite direction and jump at the same time. Hold that same direction as you're landing. Then, as soon as you land, instantly swing your stick back to where it originally started and jump one more time. You should now be at the start of the input loop. So repeat this until the enemy falls off the stage, or you die because you're screwing around. If you do this in multiplayer, it should be way more effective with a coordinated team of 4 squids bombarding strong arms with knockback, but it's hard to find people to coordinate that with. So I'm publishing this video to teach you guys how to do it, and then we can try it all at once on stream together. You cannot get hit while doing this though, because entering danger will slow you down enough to disable the squid attack until you recover. Side Order had an upgrade to manage this. But there's no way to boost your movement speed specifically while in danger in Splatoon Raiders, as far as I'm aware. Maybe they'll add it in an update or something, because we're missing a lot of those effects from Side Order that I was really hoping to see in this game. Now this strategy may seem cheesy to you, because it is, and unnecessary, because it often is. But it has legitimate uses at Salmonid levels 200 and above. Strong arms can take over 60 seconds to kill when you're working at max DPS, and that's just not an option. You will quickly begin wondering if your build is even cut out to clear these floors at all. Over 10 million health is just ridiculous for his strong arms to have. And don't get me started on those steel eels, which can't be insta-killed with this most of the time, but the squid roll can stun them, bumping the steel eel driver up in the air for just a moment to disable the ink spray, which is super useful. And not everyone remembers to abuse the new steel eel stun because it wasn't in Salmon Run until Splatoon Raiders. I think it's like a bonus thing they added to help you out because it's single player, you know? I absolutely love this because I was really hoping Squid Attack would return in Raiders. I had to make a video about this even if I know a lot of people won't actually use it in a real fight. If you want to hear more details about my builds, make sure to subscribe. Because I've been making videos like this since Splatoon 2 released, so I'm pretty lucky you found my channel in the Big 26, especially if you missed my side order Squid Attack streams. I've scripted, voiced, and edited all of my videos by hand without using AI for over 10 years now. It's like my channel's an organic apple, bred with no pesticides for maximum flavor. Please consider liking and hyping this video if the new feature is available to you, because it really does help a lot. With love and peace, thanks so much for watching, and good luck in your next raid.